Roland Barthes, in his studies on fashion, warned against linking historical content to clothing forms, it is clear that the scrunchie is in many ways a reflection of its time. For our purposes, I will define the heyday of the scrunchie as the period from 1987, when the patent was approved, to 1994, when the scrunchie reached the height of its popularity. This was the period where the scrunchie saw the greatest number of representations in the media. In geopolitical terms, the heyday of the scrunchie corresponds roughly to the late Reagan years, the collapse of the Soviet Union, and post-Cold War American hegemony. In other words, the triumph of liberal democracy and the capitalist system over the outdated Soviet socialist model, a young, optimistic ideology versus a country burdened with an inefficient bureaucracy, an aging population, and a stagnating economy. The scrunchie, with its vibrant colors and endless variety of materials, wins out over the no doubt drab hair accessories of the state-run department stores. Of course, there are many other events that shed light on the scrunchie's place in history. We have the introduction of Prozac and the first version of Photoshop in 1987. We have the Seoul Olympics in 1988. More on that later. We have the Exxon Valdez, the fall of the Berlin Wall. We have the premieres of both Seinfeld and The Simpsons in 1989. This is an important one. In 1990, the first McDonald's opens in Russia. We also have the release of Nelson Mandela and the reunification of Germany. In 1991, we have the end of apartheid and the collapse of the Soviet Union. Later in the decade, Sinead O'Connor on SNL, the election of Bill Clinton, the LA riots, the first World Trade Center bombing, Waco, NAFTA, OJ, and the death of Kurt Cobain. Now, while it's ridiculous to claim that the scrunchie had anything to do with the fall of the Soviet Union, it was without a doubt a witness to a tumultuous period in history. For example, here we have a photo of the fall of the Berlin Wall. A young man in jeans and leather jacket, also a fashion symbol that originated in the United States, straddles the graffiti-covered wall while making a vaguely militant salute. In the bottom left-hand corner of the picture, a woman watches the events unfolding with her long hair sensibly held up in a scrunchie. Notice that her bright red scrunchie matches her bright red jacket. In case you think this is an aberration, here is a picture taken November 9th, 1989 at the Brandenburg Gate. You can all look for this scrunchie yourselves. Conspiracy theorists in the audience, we could ask whether the scrunchie is a symbol of the New World Order. Is it an accident that the scrunchie appeared around the same time that Stephen Hawking was describing scrunchie-shaped ruptures in the space-time continuum? Is it an accident that Sinead O'Connor, who attacked the hypocrisy of the Catholic Church on live television and was subsequently ostracized, had a shaved head? I.e., she wasn't capable of wearing a scrunchie. We could casually describe this period overall as the growing pains of globalization, the dawn of the information age, a period of global ideological battles, a period of cultural imperialism, especially on the part of the United States, whose main export at this time seemed to be a cult of youth and consumerism. The scrunchie, like many other cultural artifacts of this period, was its unwitting ambassador. The scrunchie, like McDonald's, embodies the qualities that made capitalism so successful: adaptability, energy, and ruthless practicality. Like a French fry, the scrunchie has a virus-like ability to propagate. It is cheap to manufacture, it satisfies an immediate need, and it is completely non-threatening. It is fashion as franchise. Here's the fun part. If pop culture is the United States' most successful export and its most potent weapon, then it's important to see how the scrunchie was represented in the media. There were many examples to choose from. On the left, we have Jesse Spano from Saved by the Bell. We have Roseanne, in which Becky wore a scrunchie with a white denim skirt. We have an episode of Seinfeld, number 136, entitled Soulmates, in which Kramer fixates on a scrunchie. However, I chose to focus first on a singer whose own rise to prominence corresponds almost exactly with that of the scrunchie. That person is Debbie Gibson. Debbie Gibson is in many ways synonymous with the scrunchie. For example, she was raised on Long Island, where the scrunchie was invented. Her early success came from touring malls, which before the internet were instrumental in providing homogenized fashion cues for teenage girls. Here we have a graph of shopping centers in the United States from 1970 through 2005. Now, while the growth rate of shopping centers peaked in the mid-70s, we can see that it once again hit another peak in 87, around the time of the scrunchie, and crashed around 94. Anyway, back to Debbie Gibson. Today, she remains the youngest female to write, record, and perform a #1 single. This record has lasted for 25 years. Her first album, 1987's Out of the Blue, was certified triple platinum. Her following album, Electric Youth, from 1989, went double platinum. She had a fragrance contract with Revlon. The early adoption of the scrunchie in her music videos defined the hair accessories for years to come. And as we shall see, she projected an image of youthful energy, wholesomeness, and suburban blandness. Now, of course, she's prudish compared to today's hypersexualized teenage pop stars, but even in her day, she was prudish compared to Tiffany, who wore her long red hair loose, oozed blue-collar sexual maturity, and walked around railroad tracks in her music videos singing, "I Think We're Alone Now." And to the right, we have the April 2002